if you keep experiencing fear recurrently in your life? What if my business stops doing well? What if I lose my friends? What if I lose my family? I want you to know that fear is just a concept. So the paradigm is fighting this new idea. Do you see that it doesn't want to be taken over by the new idea? So this resistance is what is known as fear. You may start sweating, some people actually have a fight and flight reaction. The feelings that were generated when they experienced that fear were never processed. They were only acknowledged, because by processing those fears, you're actually burning your old paradigm. Overcome your fears so that you can achieve whatever it is that you truly desire in your life. This video is for you if you keep experiencing fear recurrently in your life. And this is very common, because I remember until very recently, I was always in the fear of losing everything that I had. I was like, what if my business stops doing well? What if I lose my friends? What if I lose my family? What if the economy goes into such a bad state that it doesn't really support our well-being anymore? I want you to know that fear is just a concept. There's a lot of information going around that's creating a lot of fear in us, and we actually have the power to reject this information. I'm going to go into what fear really is, and this is a concept that I learned from my mentor Bob Proctor, and it completely changed my life. And this is one of the things that really made me an effective decision maker, because I realized that fear is just a concept. So I used to say that fear is non-existent, but no, I don't think it's non-existent. It's a concept. So you do experience fear, but what really is fear? Let's understand. So firstly, I want you to understand that fear is created in your mind, all right? Now, your mind has two parts to it. So we have the conscious and the subconscious part of the mind. Your conscious mind is that part of the mind that absorbs information from the environment. And I just mentioned that there's all sorts of information coming in through from your environment to you, right? So a lot of this information is creating fear in you, right? Because you start listening to this information, you start believing in it, you start buying into the stories that the media is telling you. And then we have another part of the mind called the subconscious mind. Now, your subconscious mind is that part of the mind that was formed when you are in the younger years of your life. So it was formed from the assumptions and behaviors of the people that you saw around you, right? So in my case, for instance, because my family went through a difficult financial period when I was young, I grew up to learn that I have to work very hard in order to earn money, right? And I can't have certain things in my life. Opulence is meant for only other people around me. It's not meant for me. Maybe I'll have it in the next round, right? I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with these ideas. So I want you to understand that, yes, I believe my parents did their best, but because of the circumstances, I actually started buying into these ideas, and this formed the ideas in my subconscious mind. So the ideas that are in your subconscious mind form something called your paradigm, all right? So your paradigm is a multitude of fixed ideas that lead you to behave in a certain way. So you might have noticed that you try to do things differently, but you still don't get the outcomes that you want, right? That's because the ideas in your subconscious mind are not really supporting what it is that you really want. So here's the thing, and this is how fear actually comes up. So you have your current paradigm, right? These are the current ideas in your subconscious mind that have come as a result of your childhood conditioning. So think of this as your current paradigm. So this is X, let's call it X. And now you are thinking of a new idea. So when you start thinking of a new idea, so let's say you're somebody who's earning maybe $15,000 a month, right? And you want to go up to $30,000 a month. So that requires you to be a new person, to make different decisions, right? Now, this is what happens because your current paradigm is stuck at the idea of $15,000 a month. And here you are wanting to earn $30,000. Now, you're pondering with that idea through your conscious mind, right? And with repetition, as you start convincing yourself, that idea starts going into your subconscious mind. But what does it do? it tries to overtake the old paradigm, the current paradigm. So this is the new idea, this is your paradigm, right? So the paradigm is fighting this new idea. Do you see that it doesn't want to be taken over by the new idea? So the X is resisting the new idea. Let's call it the Y. So there is a resistance in the XY. It's like oil and water, right? Oil and water don't mix. So this resistance is what is known as fear. So fear is just a concept. So it's very natural for you to get butterflies in your stomach, for you to start sweating, for you to start saying, that, oh, I'm not sure if I should do this. What if I lose my investment? What if I lose the money? What if it doesn't work out? These are very common features of fear, right? So it's nothing but your current paradigm trying to keep you where you are. So this is the work of your paradigm. I want you to understand this. It will try its best to keep you where you are, but until you don't allow that why to take over, then it's never going to change. So you'll keep experiencing the same outcomes in your life until you don't overcome the fears that you are facing and do something different in your life, all right? Let's talk about what happens when you experience fear, right? You experience a lot of uncertainty. You may have physical symptoms. As I said, you may start sweating. You may, some people actually have a fight and flight reaction. Like, if there's somebody who's supposed to speak on stage and they get so scared, they actually want to run out of stage. I think some people do that, and some people have fainted on stage, right? So there are different reactions. Or you'll completely start ignoring the messages of somebody who's trying to get you on board of let's say, an investment idea, and you get so scared, your fears show up so rampantly that you decide not to go for that investment at all, and you start ignoring them completely. Those are examples of how fear shows up in your life. So here's the thing. Now, what do most people do? What most people do is that they just go and do whatever it is they're supposed to do in order to overcome the fear, and that's great. So you may get a temporary result by overcoming that fear. But there are two things that are happening here in the background that most people are not aware of. Number one, the sensations that you feel in your body when you experience fear, this is something that people don't usually process. They acknowledge that, yes, right now I'm feeling butterflies in my stomach, I'm sweating, I'm stammering, right? Because I'm very fearful. But they don't know what to do about it. They acknowledge it and they just go and do the thing that they are fearing, which is great because it will take them to the other side, but it may not take them there permanently. Why? Because the feelings that were generated when they experienced that fear were never processed. They were only acknowledged. They were not processed. So you've got to be very connected with your body in order to process these feelings out if you want permanent results. So what happens is that when you process out these feelings, it starts getting you the outcomes more easily, because by processing those fears, you're actually burning your old paradigm. By processing the sensations that come up behind those fears, you're actually burning the old paradigm. Now, that paradigm, the patterns that the paradigm has brought actually sit in your energetic blueprint. Your energetic blueprint sits in your body. Your energetic blueprint creates something called a quantum reality. It creates a quantum field around you that creates your reality. So do you understand how the patterns that are stored in your body actually create your reality? So overcoming fear physically is only one part of the process. What you've actually even got to do is process the sensations that come up in your body that are stored in your energetic blueprint, so that when you are overcoming fear and taking that action, you're actually able to propel yourself forward permanently, not just temporarily. So if you are somebody who's not been experiencing permanent results despite taking action, overcoming your fears, it's because you have not processed these sensations and patterns from a blueprint level. Now, when you do that, those patterns eventually get burnt, and when you move forward, taking action towards whatever it is that you actually fear, then you start getting consistent and permanent results. If you are somebody who resonated with this video, I'd like you to share it with those who you think will benefit from this video. And I want to invite you to overcome your fears so that you can achieve whatever it is that you truly desire in your life. Get in touch with us through the link on the description so we can help you do this.